You lay a hand on my daughter again, and I swear you'll regret it for the rest of your life. At the doorway, a man was pointing at me, full of menace. Tony Carter, Emily Whitmore's assistant and bodyguard, held a brick in his hand, his face twisted with anger. In the black Tesla beside him, Emily Whitmore lounged lazily, tossing a stack of cash onto the pavement with a sneer of disdain. "Take it, 10 grand. Now get lost," she said, her eyes cold and impatient. I stood by the shattered car window. The roof and door were dented from the brick. The side mirror lay in fragments. In that instant, all the humiliation I had absorbed over the years stabbed into my chest like cold steel. The repair estimate stared back at me, at least $15,000. And yet these two stood there, unapologetic, acting as if they were doing me a favor. Emily's gaze held not a trace of remorse. She looked at me as though I were an insignificant insect. I didn't stoop to pick up the money, and I didn't argue with them on the spot. I pulled out my phone and dialed Emily's father, David Whitmore. My voice was calm but icy. "Mr. Whitmore, your family sure knows how to wield power." There was a brief hesitation on the other end. "Josh, what are you talking about? Have you met Emily yet?" "Met her?" I said, voice tight with controlled anger. "Your daughter threatened me in the street, and her assistant said he'd make sure I didn't see tomorrow. Quite a family you have." I laid out the situation plainly. David stammered, flustered. "There must be some misunderstanding, Josh. We can handle this privately." "Misunderstanding?" I interrupted coldly. "Ask your daughter yourself. In this city, only people like you act without restraint. I'm just an ordinary person. If you went all in, families like mine wouldn't stand a chance." After hanging up, anger boiled inside me. Years of living quietly, of holding back, had taught me patience, but there are humiliations you cannot swallow. This wasn't just property damage, it was an assault on my dignity. I wanted more than money. I wanted their arrogance to meet its due. That night, I couldn't sleep. Memories replayed, being overlooked in classrooms, laughed off by relatives as just an ordinary kid, scrambling for a small internship stipend while working in the college cafeteria. Every slight, every ridicule had piled up into a mountain within me. Years of studying abroad, years of building a career, I had forged those humiliations into sharp tools. Now it was time to use them. The next day, I didn't confront Emily directly. I first had my car towed to the repair shop, requesting a detailed report and itemized costs. Then I reached out to trusted friends in law and finance. Their advice was clear: preserve the evidence chain, then use the law to hold them accountable. I began a methodical, low-profile counter-strategy. Step 1. Secure the evidence. I obtained the raw surveillance footage from nearby cameras, recorded witness statements, and archived the recordings of Emily tossing cash and Tony's threats. Every detail was carefully preserved, in case they tried to erase it with money or influence. I also assessed their power. The Whitmores were a well-known family, with investments in real estate and media. Influence was theirs, but it wasn't absolute. Law is built on rules, and if the evidence is solid, even wealth and status can't override it. Following my lawyer's advice, I restructured key assets, putting accounts and critical documents into trusts, legally securing them as my own to prevent any claims of joint ownership. During this period, David Whitmore called multiple times, his tone shifting from casual to desperate. He wanted a private settlement. I replied firmly, "This isn't something you can smooth over. Tony vandalized my car and threatened my life. This is a criminal matter, not a few bills to make it go away." I then planned a public coincidental encounter. I knew Emily would attend a high-end downtown restaurant for a business dinner. I arrived early, quietly sitting in a corner, with my lawyer and a few friends discreetly nearby. When Emily and Tony arrived, I approached with a polite smile, then placed a thick folder in front of her. My voice was calm but unmistakable. "These are records of your actions in the city, surveillance footage of the car damage, audio of threats, and witness statements. I suggest you stop now. Any settlement must be in writing. Otherwise, all evidence goes to court and will be made public." Tony initially sneered, stepping toward me. "You dare challenge us?" I laid the evidence on the table. "I'm already prepared. Every action you've taken has been documented. Step back now, while you still can." Emily's face paled. She tried to protest, trembling. This is harassment." But the footage and recordings were irrefutable. Onlookers in the restaurant began paying attention. My lawyer quietly advised me to let them make mistakes themselves. Sure enough, the situation escalated. Witnesses recorded statements, and the restaurant manager made brief notes. Emily's arrogance melted into panic. Tony's defiance faltered. I could feel the strength I had built over years finally manifesting. I then submitted all evidence to law enforcement and filed civil and criminal claims. The Whitmores tried to hire PR to spin the story, calling me a fictional victim. But public opinion could not overturn the irrefutable evidence: video, witnesses, receipts, recordings, and legal asset protections. In court, the atmosphere was tense. The judge remained focused, lawyers rigorously cross-examined. Tony's face went from red to white as surveillance footage replayed him swinging a brick and issuing threats. He stammered helplessly under the court's gaze. Emily wept, her pride shredded. The once dominant duo was now vulnerable and fearful. The verdict was as expected. The Whitmores had to cover all repair costs, pay damages for emotional distress, and issue a public apology. Tony faced criminal charges for threats and property damage. Their arrogance was replaced with fear and submission. I didn't revel in revenge. Victory brought calm closure to years of humiliation. When David Whitmore called later, pleading to settle, I simply replied, "The law has spoken." The day my car was repaired, the sunset light filtered gently through the new windows. Emily slept peacefully in the back seat, no trace of her earlier fear. I took a deep breath, feeling the heavy stone in my chest finally ease. From a small town to a big city, from being dismissed to being heard, my journey had been filled with humiliation, tears, and unseen struggle. With patience, law, and evidence, I resisted those who sought to trample me. Those who had mocked me at parties and social gatherings were humbled before the law. Life goes on. Driving the repaired car home, the evening breeze brushing my face, my mind was clear. No matter the complexity of influence or power, with reason, evidence, and resolve, humiliation can be turned into strength, and passivity into control. From that day forward, I knew my daughter and I could move forward, steady and unstoppable.